Do you know that your reality is not as solid as it seems? That what you call the world out there is not fixed, but a projection of repeated thoughts, emotions, and observations. Science has revealed something extraordinary, something called the Quantum Zeno Effect. And when you truly understand it, you'll see how it's been freezing your life in place, replaying the same story over and over again. The Quantum Zeno Effect tells us this: when you continuously observe a particle, when you keep checking on it, you lock it into its state. You collapse its infinite possibilities into a single pattern, again and again, until it cannot move forward. Now think about this in your life. Every time you wake up and immediately recall your past, every time you rehearse the same emotions, the same beliefs, the same story about who you are and what you're capable of, you are observing yourself into the same reality. You are freezing your potential. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory and a vision of the future. It only knows what you repeatedly focus on. And every time you focus on the familiar, on stress, on fear, on limitation, you are applying the Quantum Zeno Effect to your own existence. You are watching the old self so consistently that the new self never gets a chance to emerge. But here's the incredible part: the very same principle that traps you can liberate you. Because if constant observation locks reality, then withdrawing your attention, breaking the cycle, and placing your awareness on a new vision of the future sets reality free. The moment you stop rehearsing the old emotions of the past and instead begin to feel the emotions of your desired future, gratitude, joy, love, inspiration, you are no longer measuring the particle in the same way. You release it into possibility. You release yourself into possibility. Reality changes not when you wait for it to give you a reason to feel different, but when you decide to feel different first. When you wake up in the morning, and instead of thinking about who you were yesterday, you choose to embody who you want to become tomorrow, you collapse a different wave of potential into your present moment. You create a future before it arrives. The Quantum Zeno Effect shows us that observation is powerful. Your awareness is the greatest force in your life. The question is, where are you placing it? On the familiar past or on the unknown future? If you want a new life, you must break the spell of constant observation of the old one. You must step into the unknown, into the space of possibility, into the dimension where miracles reside. That's where freedom is. That's where change is. That's where you stop freezing your reality in place and begin to move it into something extraordinary. Reality is not as fixed as most people believe. What we call the solid world, the unchangeable flow of events, is far more flexible, and it responds to where we place our attention. There is a principle in quantum physics called the Quantum Zeno Effect. It demonstrates that when you continuously observe a particle, when you keep measuring it, you trap it in its current state and prevent it from evolving into something new. This scientific truth holds an incredible mirror to human life, because in the same way we observe ourselves over and over again, we lock ourselves into repeating the same reality every single day. We freeze our own possibilities in place without even realizing it. Every morning, most people wake up and immediately return to the person they were yesterday. They think the same thoughts, remember the same past, feel the same emotions, and step into the same familiar routines. The brain begins running the same neural circuits, the body produces the same chemicals, and the mind rehearses the same identity. This is observation in action. By focusing again and again on who we have been, by constantly measuring our reality with the same lens, we collapse our lives into repetition. Just like the Quantum Zeno Effect, we are observing the same self so consistently that no new self ever has the chance to appear. The mind and body become addicted to the known, and so reality remains frozen in the past. The truth is, the brain does not know the difference between remembering the past and imagining the future. It only responds to what you repeatedly give it. When you keep revisiting memories of failure, disappointment, or limitation, the brain fires and wires those pathways until they become your identity. You are not simply recalling the past, you are reinforcing it in the present. The quantum Zeno effect is at work, holding you in the same state because you are constantly observing your life from the same emotional standpoint. It is like pressing pause on possibility and replaying the same scene of a movie over and over until you forget there was ever a different script. But here is where the story shifts. The very principle that traps you is also the one that can liberate you. If observation keeps you stuck, then withdrawing observation from the old and placing it on the new sets you free. The moment you stop focusing on who you were and begin envisioning who you want to become, you are no longer freezing your reality in the past. You are allowing it to move, to shift, to unfold into possibility. If you choose to feel emotions like gratitude, joy, and inspiration before the evidence shows up in your life, you are collapsing a different wave of potential into the present moment. You stop observing the old identity and begin embodying a new one. And just like that, reality begins to reorganize itself around your new state of being. This shift does not happen by waiting for your circumstances to change. If you say, when I get the job, then I will feel successful, or when I find the relationship, then I will feel love, you are still observing the old reality, locking yourself in the waiting room of life. Change happens when you reverse that order. You feel successful before the job arrives. You feel love before the relationship manifests. You embody freedom before the world gives you permission. By rehearsing the emotions of your desired future as if they are already real, you instruct your brain and body to live in that new reality now. That is how you stop freezing the same patterns and begin sculpting something new. The Quantum Zeno Effect reveals a profound secret. Your awareness is the most powerful creative force you possess. Where you place your awareness determines whether you are trapped in the past or released into possibility. If you constantly focus on problems, lack, and stress, you will keep reproducing the same experience. If you instead direct your attention to vision, inspiration, and gratitude, you will unlock realities you never knew were available. Life is not waiting to change. It is waiting for you to change how you observe it. The universe is not fixed. It is pliable, dynamic, and deeply responsive to your state of consciousness. Imagine the power of waking up tomorrow, and instead of immediately remembering yesterday, you close your eyes and ask, who do I want to be today? How do I want to feel? What future am I going to rehearse? As you picture that future, as you feel it in your body, you are observing a new possibility into being. You are collapsing a different particle into existence. You are breaking free of the frozen loop and stepping into the unknown. And in the unknown is where miracles live. In the unknown is where new experiences, synchronicities, and opportunities can find you. In the unknown is where transformation takes place. Life does not change by chance, but by choice. It changes when you stop observing the old self and begin living from the frequency of the new self. It changes when you realize you are not the victim of the Quantum Zeno Effect. You are its master. You can use this principle to either stay trapped or to unlock extraordinary possibilities. Every moment you have the power to decide, will I continue to watch the same version of me? Or will I give my attention to the self I am becoming? If you choose the latter, then your reality will no longer remain frozen. It will move, it will expand, and it will reflect back to you the infinite potential that has been waiting all along. Most people live their entire lives believing reality is fixed, solid, and unchangeable. Yet science is proving something far more extraordinary. At the quantum level, nothing is solid until it is observed. The moment attention is placed on a particle, its infinite wave of possibilities collapses into one particular state. This phenomenon is known as the Quantum Zeno Effect, and it reveals something astonishing, that by continuously observing a particle in the same way, you can freeze it in its current condition and prevent it from evolving. When you think about this in terms of human life, you begin to realize why so many people feel stuck, why they repeat the same cycles, why their lives never seem to change. Without knowing it, they are applying the same principle to themselves. By constantly observing their lives from the standpoint of the past, they are locking themselves into the same experiences over and over again. When you wake up in the morning and instantly recall all the problems you have, the stress you're under, the identity you've carried for years, you are rehearsing the same self. You are observing yourself into the same state of being. Your brain replays the same circuits, your body produces the same chemicals, and your emotions confirm the same story. This is how the Quantum Zeno Effect shows up in your daily existence. You keep measuring the same version of yourself, and so you keep producing the same version of your reality. It is like hitting the pause button on the field of possibility and choosing to watch the rerun of yesterday again and again. The mind does not differentiate between remembering the past and imagining the future. When you recall painful memories, when you dwell on stress or fear, your brain and body relive those events as if they are happening now. You are not just recalling an old experience, you are re-experiencing it chemically and emotionally in the present moment. Each time you do this, you are reinforcing the neural patterns and emotional states of the past, freezing them into your identity. This is why so many people feel like they are living the same day on repeat. They are unknowingly applying the Quantum Zeno Effect, locking themselves into the same personality and circumstances. But here is the breakthrough. If observation can freeze a particle into a particular state, then withdrawing that observation and redirecting it can liberate it into new possibilities. The same is true for you. The moment you stop focusing on who you have been, the moment you stop observing your life through the lens of past memories and limitations, you allow the field of potential to open. And when you redirect your awareness toward who you want to become, when you start embodying the emotions of your desired future before it arrives, you collapse a completely different possibility into the present. This is the power of creation. The shift does not come by waiting for life to change so you can feel different. That is the trap of the old self, waiting for external events to give you permission to feel joy, gratitude, or love is another way of observing the same frozen reality. True transformation comes when you choose to feel those emotions ahead of the event, when you live as if your desired future is already here. In doing so, you are training your brain and body to believe in a new reality. You are breaking the loop of the Quantum Zeno Effect and allowing your life to move into alignment with your vision. Your awareness is your most powerful tool. Where you place it shapes your destiny. If you keep observing lack, stress, and fear, you will stay trapped in the same state. If you shift your focus to abundance, inspiration, and gratitude, you free yourself from the prison of repetition. Life is not fixed, it is fluid. Reality is not rigid, it responds to consciousness. The Quantum Zeno Effect is not simply a law of physics. It is a mirror showing you how powerful your attention truly is. Imagine beginning your day by asking, who do I want to be today? What emotions do I want to live by? What future do I want to rehearse? Then, instead of recalling old memories, you create new ones in your mind. You imagine a reality where you are already abundant, already healthy, already fulfilled. You feel those emotions as if they are happening now. By doing this, you are observing a new state of being into existence. You are collapsing a new wave of possibilities. And as you consistently do this, your brain rewires itself, your body learns a new chemical environment, and your energy begins to attract experiences that match your vision. Change is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. You are not a victim of the Quantum Zeno Effect. You are the master of it. Every moment, you have the choice to either observe the old self into existence or give your attention to the new self you want to become. If you continue to focus on the past, you will freeze your life in place. But if you focus on the future you desire, if you live and feel it now, you will set your reality free. The unknown becomes your ally, the field of potential opens, and life reorganizes itself to reflect the new state of consciousness you embody. This is the invitation. Stop measuring your life by who you have been and begin observing the person you are becoming. Withdraw your attention from the familiar and place it on the unknown. Step out of the prison of repetition and into the playground of possibility. When you do this, you will discover that reality is not frozen at all. It is waiting to move, waiting to expand, waiting to reflect the limitless potential of who you truly are. Reality has a way of mirroring back to us what we continually focus on. Most people do not realize that their lives are not being held back by fate or chance, but by the constant repetition of the same observations, the same thoughts, the same emotions, and the same habits of attention. At the quantum level, when a particle is continuously observed, it stays locked in its current state, unable to evolve into something new. This is the Quantum Zeno Effect, and in life, the same principle operates. By paying attention to the familiar passed over and over again, we unconsciously freeze our personal reality in place, never giving ourselves the opportunity to expand into a greater possibility. The human brain is like an extraordinary record keeper. It logs every memory, every experience, every emotional state we have rehearsed. When you wake up each morning and the first thing you do is remember your worries, your problems, or the limitations that defined you yesterday, you are wiring your brain into the same identity. You begin the day as the same person you were, and in doing so, you guarantee that your life will follow the same script. The body, which becomes conditioned to those familiar emotions, expects the same chemicals of stress, anger, or fear, and when it receives them, it confirms the identity of the past. This is observation in motion. You are measuring yourself into existence exactly as you were, and like the Quantum Zeno Effect, you prevent yourself from becoming something new. But it is not only your brain that keeps you in this loop, it is also your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. And when your attention is constantly on what has already happened, you are feeding the past. You are telling your subconscious mind that this version of life is what matters most. You collapse the field of potential down into a narrow, predictable pattern. That is why so many people feel trapped in cycles of repetition. They think they want change, but they are still observing life through the lens of who they were, not who they are becoming. The incredible news is that if observation has the power to freeze reality, then shifting observation has the power to liberate it. The moment you decide to stop giving attention to the emotions of yesterday and start embodying the emotions of tomorrow, you unlock a door to possibility. By imagining a new future, by feeling gratitude for it as though it is already here, you are instructing your brain and body to leave behind the familiar and enter the unknown. You are no longer collapsing the same particle. You are choosing a different wave of potential. In that choice lies freedom. Transformation is not about waiting for the external world to deliver new circumstances so you can finally feel joy or abundance. It is about generating those feelings in advance. When you choose to live as if the future you desire is already real, your biology begins to shift. Your brain fires in new patterns, your body experiences a new chemical environment, and your energy changes its frequency. This is how you create rather than react. The Quantum Zeno Effect no longer keeps you trapped because you have stopped measuring your life by the old self and started observing the new self into existence. Think of the difference between someone who wakes up each day and unconsciously rehearses their stress and someone who wakes up and consciously decides to embody gratitude. The first person is measuring themselves into the same stressful life, reinforcing the same circuits, collapsing the same reality. The second person is stepping into a new possibility, and by doing so, they will encounter new experiences, opportunities, and synchronicities that match their elevated state. This is not wishful thinking. It is the natural effect of shifting awareness from the past to the future. Your awareness is the paintbrush, and reality is the canvas. Every moment you are painting with the colors of your focus and emotions. If you keep painting with the same shades of fear and limitation, your life will always look the same. But if you begin painting with inspiration, love, and joy, the picture will transform. Life is not solid. It is fluid, waiting to be shaped by your consciousness. The Quantum Zeno Effect is not here to trap you. It is here to show you how powerful your awareness truly is. Imagine what would happen if you committed to spending more time observing your future than your past. If instead of rehearsing memories of failure or disappointment, you rehearsed visions of success, abundance, and connection, your brain would not know the difference. It would fire in ways that prepare you for that new reality. Your body would begin to feel as though that future is happening now. And in time, your outer world would reflect the inner state you have been practicing. This is how you break free from the frozen loop of repetition and step into transformation. Every single day, you have a choice to live by the familiar past or to live by the imagined future, to keep measuring the same self into existence, or to use your attention to create a greater self. The moment you stop observing life through the narrow lens of yesterday and start observing it through the expansive lens of possibility, you free your reality to evolve. That is when you stop being a prisoner of your own awareness and become the creator of your destiny. So the invitation is simple yet profound. Withdraw your attention from the past. Stop feeding the emotions that have kept you locked in place. Begin observing the self you want to become and embody it now. Step into gratitude before the evidence arrives. Live with joy before the conditions appear. When you do this, you will find that reality itself begins to reorganize around you. The frozen patterns melt away, the field of potential opens, and life starts to mirror back the future you have already chosen within. This is how you move from repetition to creation, from limitation to freedom, from a frozen reality to one that is endlessly alive with possibility. Reality is constantly presenting us with opportunities for transformation, but most people cannot see them because they are locked into old ways of being. The mind and body become addicted to familiar patterns, and every day we unknowingly rehearse the same script that has kept us stuck for years. At the quantum level, there exists a principle called the Quantum Zeno Effect, which shows that if a particle is observed continuously, it will remain in its current state, unable to evolve into something new. That same principle applies to human life. The more you observe yourself through the lens of who you were yesterday, the more you remain frozen in that identity, repeating the same choices, behaviors, and experiences. Every morning, as soon as most people wake up, their minds automatically begin scanning for the problems of the past. They recall the people they resent, the bills they need to pay, the struggles they are facing, and instantly they feel the emotions connected to those memories. That process is an act of observation. By remembering the old self, they keep locking their brain and body into the past. The stress chemicals released from those thoughts send signals to the body, and the body becomes addicted to that state of being. The loop continues because the emotions confirm the thoughts, and the thoughts confirm the emotions. The result is a life that looks the same day after day. The truth is that the brain cannot distinguish between an experience that is happening in the outer world and one that is vividly imagined in the inner world. If you are constantly reliving painful memories, you are teaching your brain and body to believe that the past is still happening now. This is how the Quantum Zeno Effect traps people in the same conditions. They are observing their old self so often that their energy, their biology, and their perception of reality never move beyond what has already been known. Yet, there is a way out of this loop. If observation can hold a particle in place, then a change in observation can set it free. And that is the key to transformation. The moment you stop measuring your life through the lens of your past and begin to envision a future self, you collapse a different possibility into the present moment. Instead of allowing the emotions of yesterday to define you, you begin generating the emotions of tomorrow before it arrives. Gratitude, joy, love, inspiration. When you embody these states now, you are no longer repeating the past, you are rehearsing the future. This is where true freedom lies. Most people think change happens when life improves, when conditions shift, when opportunities arrive. But that is an illusion. Waiting for the outside world to change is just another form of observing the same frozen state of being. Transformation begins when you change your inner world first. You train your brain to fire in new patterns, you teach your body to feel new emotions, and you shift your awareness to possibilities you have never lived before. In that moment, you stop being the observer of the old self and become the creator of the new self. Think of it this way: your awareness is like a spotlight, and whatever you shine it on grows stronger. If you shine it on your limitations, you reinforce them. If you shine it on your vision of the future, you strengthen that potential. Life is not determined by circumstance. It is determined by where you place your awareness. The Quantum Zeno Effect proves that observation matters, and that means your attention is the most powerful tool you have. When you begin each day imagining the self you want to become and feel the emotions of that self as if it already exists, your body begins to believe in a new reality. Your nervous system starts wiring for the future instead of the past. Your energy shifts to a different frequency, and the field of potential begins responding to your new state. Opportunities appear where none existed before. Synchronicities line up in ways that defy logic. What was once invisible begins to become visible because you are no longer freezing your reality in the old story. You are liberating it into new creation. It may feel uncomfortable at first because the familiar past is always easier to focus on than the unknown future. The body will want to return to old emotions it has memorized because it feels safe in what it knows. But the unknown is where all growth lives. The unknown is the place where new possibilities exist, waiting for your attention to bring them to life. If you can embrace that space with trust, curiosity, and gratitude, you will find that it is not empty. It is alive with potential. The secret is consistency. Just as repeatedly observing the past locks you into repetition, repeatedly observing your future self unlocks transformation. Every day, you rehearse a new state of being, you weaken the old patterns and strengthen the new ones. Over time, the old identity loses its grip and the new identity takes root. Eventually, the outer world reflects the inner change because reality always organizes itself around the energy you broadcast. The choice is always yours. You can keep waking up and observing the same self into existence, repeating the same emotions and freezing your life in place. Or you can wake up and choose to observe the self you are becoming, generating emotions that match your vision of the future. One path keeps you locked in the known. The other sets you free into the unknown, where the extraordinary awaits. So ask yourself, where am I placing my awareness? Am I observing my life through the story of my past? Or am I giving my attention to the possibility of a greater future? The answer to that question is shaping your reality right now. If you want change, you must stop observing the old and start embodying the new. Withdraw your attention from what no longer serves you and place it on what you want to create. Feel it, live it, and practice it until it becomes your state of being. When you do this, the Quantum Zeno Effect no longer freezes your reality. It frees it. It reveals that your future is not waiting for you to stumble upon it. It is waiting for you to observe it into existence. And the moment you do, life begins to unfold in ways that go beyond chance, beyond logic, and beyond anything you have ever known. Life has a way of showing us exactly what we continually choose to see. What we call reality is not as unshakable as it appears. It bends, it shifts, it reshapes itself according to the lens of our awareness. At the deepest level of science, there is a principle known as the Quantum Zeno Effect, which demonstrates that when a particle is repeatedly observed, it is held in its current state and prevented from changing. That same principle plays out in the lives of human beings every day. Each time you wake up and focus on who you were yesterday, each time you rehearse the same emotions of fear, stress, or limitation, You are observing your life into the same state, freezing reality so that it cannot evolve. Without realizing it, most people live as the observer of their past, and so their future becomes nothing more than a reflection of what has already been. The brain is designed to make connections. Every thought you think wires circuits together, and every emotion you feel teaches your body to remember that state. When you recall an old event, your brain and body relive it as though it were happening again. The more you repeat it, the stronger those patterns become, until your identity is no longer something you are choosing, but something you are memorizing. This is how people stay trapped in old versions of themselves. The Quantum Zeno Effect is not just a law of physics. It is a mirror of how consciousness freezes personal reality through constant repetition. Yet, within this truth lies the key to freedom. If continuous observation locks reality in place, then shifting observation releases it. The moment you stop observing your life through the memories of the past and begin to observe it through the lens of possibility, you open the door to change. The field of infinite potential is always around you, but it only becomes real when you place your awareness on it. Instead of rehearsing the emotions of who you were, you begin rehearsing the emotions of who you want to become. Gratitude, love, inspiration, joy. When you feel these states ahead of the evidence, you are no longer observing the past into being. You are collapsing a new reality into the present. This is not about ignoring the challenges of life. It is about no longer feeding them with your attention. Whatever you focus on expands. If you give all your energy to lack, you will experience more lack. If you give all your attention to stress, your body will live in a constant state of stress chemistry. But if you shift your focus to abundance, to opportunities, to the feelings of already being free, your biology begins to change. Your nervous system starts firing in alignment with a new future. Your body experiences a new chemical environment, and your energy broadcasts a different signal into the world. Life then responds not to who you were, but to who you are becoming. Think about how many people live their lives waiting for something external to give them permission to feel different. They say, when I get the promotion, then I will feel successful. When I meet the right partner, then I will feel love. When my health improves, then I will feel gratitude. This is the trap of waiting for reality to change first. But waiting keeps you stuck because you are still observing the old self into existence. True transformation happens when you reverse the formula, when you choose to feel love before the relationship, gratitude before the healing, joy before the success. By embodying those emotions now, you become the cause rather than the effect. You step into the role of creator instead of victim. Your awareness is not a passive witness, it is an active force shaping the unfolding of your life. The Quantum Zeno Effect is proof of how powerful it is. Every moment, you are choosing where to direct this force. You can either keep collapsing the same old patterns by observing them into being, or you can use your awareness to step into a new state of consciousness. This is why meditation, visualization, and intentional focus are so powerful. They train the mind and body to observe a new reality before it arrives. And when you can hold that vision with consistency, life cannot help but reorganize itself to match the energy you are broadcasting. Of course, the familiar past will always try to pull you back. The body will crave the emotions it has memorized. The mind will try to convince you that the known is safer than the unknown. But the unknown is the only place where growth and miracles exist. The unknown is where life is not frozen but alive with possibility. If you can embrace it instead of fearing it, you will find that stepping into the unknown is the gateway to transformation. Consistency is everything. Just as repeatedly observing the past cements it into your life, repeatedly observing the future liberates you from it. Every day you practice being the person you want to become, you weaken the neural pathways of the old self and strengthen the circuits of the new self. Every time you generate elevated emotions, you are teaching your body to live in alignment with your vision. Over time, the old identity dissolves and the new identity takes root. And as you embody that new state of being, reality begins to reflect it back to you in the form of opportunities, synchronicities, and experiences that match who you have become. You are not stuck. You are not bound by the past unless you continue to observe it into existence. You are a powerful creator, and your awareness is the tool by which you shape your destiny. Every day, you have the choice to either freeze reality with old observations or liberate it with new ones. When you stop measuring life by the story of your past and start observing the self you are becoming, the world opens up in ways that defy logic and expectation. So ask yourself, what am I observing? Am I giving my attention to the same limitations, the same fears, the same emotions of yesterday? Or am I giving my attention to a greater vision of who I could be? The answer to that question is creating your reality right now. Choose wisely. Because when you place your awareness on the future you want, when you feel it as if it already exists, you step into the realm of creation. You are no longer a prisoner of repetition. You are the architect of possibility. Reality is not a rigid, predetermined structure. It is fluid, responsive, and alive, waiting for your awareness to direct it. The greatest misunderstanding people carry is the belief that life happens to them, when in truth life is constantly happening through them. At the quantum level, science reveals the astonishing truth that when a particle is observed continuously, it remains locked in its present state, unable to move forward. This is known as the Quantum Zeno Effect. What few realize is that the same principle is shaping their lives every day. By continually observing themselves through the lens of the past, by rehearsing the same emotions, by thinking the same thoughts, by focusing on the same problems, they are unknowingly freezing their reality in place. The past becomes the present, and the present becomes the future, not because the universe demands it, but because awareness keeps collapsing the same possibility into existence. Each morning when you open your eyes, you are faced with a choice. Do you step into the unknown and create a new self, or do you step into the familiar and repeat the old one? For most, the choice is unconscious. Their brains immediately fire the circuits of yesterday's memories. Their bodies expect the same emotional chemistry, and before the day has even begun, they are already living in the past. This is observation at work. By paying attention to the same identity, the same emotions, the same story, they ensure that nothing truly changes. The Quantum Zeno Effect has taken hold, and life becomes a loop, an endless rerun of what has already been. But this is not the whole story. The very principle that traps reality also offers the way to set it free. If constant observation can lock a particle in place, then shifting observation can release it into new possibilities. The same is true for your life. When you withdraw attention from the emotions and memories that no longer serve you and redirect it toward a vision of who you want to become, you open the door to transformation. The field of potential is always there, waiting to be observed into reality. The moment you choose to embody gratitude, love, or inspiration without needing external evidence, you are collapsing a new possibility into your present. You stop being the victim of yesterday's story and begin writing tomorrow's. This requires a reversal of how most people live. Instead of waiting for circumstances to give you permission to feel different, you must decide to feel different first. You do not wait for success to feel successful. You feel successful and allow success to arrive. You do not wait for the relationship to feel love. You live in love now and let the relationship find you. You do not wait for healing to feel whole. You feel whole and allow the body to follow. This is how you step out of repetition and into creation. You are no longer observing the old self into being. You are observing the future self into existence. Your awareness is the brush painting on the canvas of reality. Every thought, every emotion, every focus of attention is a stroke of color shaping the picture of your life. If you keep painting with the dull shades of fear, lack, and limitation, the canvas will never change. But if you begin painting with the vibrant tones of gratitude, joy, and inspiration, the picture transforms. Reality is not frozen unless you keep freezing it. The Quantum Zeno Effect is not here to trap you. It is here to reveal the immense power you hold in shaping your own destiny. Of course, stepping into this power requires courage. The body will resist because it is addicted to the emotions of the past. The mind will resist because it finds safety in the known. But the unknown is where the future lies. The unknown is the birthplace of miracles. It may feel uncertain, but it is the only place where true change can occur. If you can embrace the unknown with trust and consistency, you will discover that it is not empty. It is filled with possibility, waiting for you to notice it. Consistency is the secret ingredient. Just as repeating the past keeps you locked in repetition, rehearsing the future with consistency rewires your brain, reconditions your body, and reshapes your energy. Every time you choose to feel gratitude without a reason, every time you practice joy without evidence, every time you embody love without conditions, you are training your body to live in a new reality. Over time, the old self weakens and the new self strengthens. Eventually, life begins to mirror that inner change. Opportunities arise, synchronicities unfold, and experiences appear that align with the state you have been rehearsing. This is not magic, it is alignment. You are not bending reality to your will. You are aligning your inner state with the infinite potential that is already there. The universe responds to who you are being, not who you wish you could be. When your inner world changes, your outer world follows. The Quantum Zeno Effect simply shows that reality reflects whatever you observe most consistently. Change what you observe, and you change what you experience. So the question becomes, what are you observing? Are you watching the old movie of your life, replaying the same scenes and expecting a different ending? Or are you creating a new story, rehearsing the emotions and visions of a greater future? The choice is yours every single moment. You can remain frozen in the familiar or step boldly into the unknown. You can continue to collapse the same tired patterns or collapse a reality filled with inspiration, joy, and limitless potential. When you begin living this way, life stops being a cycle of repetition and becomes an unfolding journey of creation. The Quantum Zeno Effect no longer holds you prisoner. It becomes a reminder of how powerful your awareness truly is. Every moment you choose where to place your attention, you are choosing the version of reality that will unfold. This is the essence of true freedom, not waiting for life to change, but realizing that you are the one who changes it through the focus of your awareness. Withdraw attention from the past. Place it firmly on the future you want to live. Feel it as though it already exists. Live it before it arrives. And watch as reality reshapes itself, not by chance, but by choice. This is how you stop freezing your life in place and begin stepping into the endless possibilities that have been waiting for you all along.